Okay guys, we're going to make a ground turkey roasted red pepper meatloaf with some green beans and mushrooms, and then I'm going to do a little tomato shallot white wine sauce. So we're going to actually start off with 2 slices of bread. I like to use the heels of the bread, just kind of repurpose them because they're not so fun when eating them in a sandwich. And I'm just going to take these and cut them into 1/2-inch cubes. Day-old bread, stale bread, perfect for this. It can be any type of bread. Potato, white, really anything as long as it doesn't have any seeds in it. So we're going to put these in the bowl. And then I'm going to take 1/3 cup of milk and put it right on top. That's going to absorb some moisture. If it is stale, it'll help rehydrate it as well. And we'll put that to the side. Okay. So right here, I have about 1.33 pounds of ground turkey. You can use 1 pound, 2 pounds, just double the recipe. If you have 1 pound and not 1 1/3 like I have here, you can use the same amount of ingredients if you want. It'll just, as far as the texture, it'll just be a little bit more softer. So to this, we're gonna add 1 egg that's been mixed. I have roasted red pepper strips here, 1 cup, and I have them chopped. I have 1 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And 1 cup of panko. We also have 1/4 cup of freshly chopped Italian parsley. And I'm going to add some black pepper and just a smidge of salt. I'm going to check on these breadcrumbs. It's actually pretty good. They soaked up the milk all the way. See that there's no milk in there. And what I'm going to do is actually just squeeze out the excess milk. So I'm just going to take the breadcrumbs and squeeze out any excess milk. There's actually not too much in there. And then we'll just kind of squish it with our hands right into the bowl. Then what we're going to do is just get in there. Start mixing. Okay. Make sure it's nice and even and incorporated. Okay. That looks pretty good. Move that to the side and give my hands a quick wash. Okay, what I have here is my bakeware. And I'm just going to put about 1 tablespoon of olive oil on the bottom just to prevent any sticking. And then we're going to take this and mold our loaf. right in there. Get nice and even. And I'm going to leave some room on the sides, and that's because we have some vegetables that we're going to put in. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands. So now I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil on the top. And I'm going to cover it. Now, if you don't have a covered casserole dish, you can use tin foil. And I'm going to put this in a 375-degree oven on the middle rack for about 45 minutes. Okay, so it has been 45 minutes. And we're just going to remove that cover. And we're going to put it back in for another 30 minutes or until the internal temperature is 165 degrees. Okay, so we have about 20 minutes left on the meatloaf, so while that's cooking, we're going to start on our vegetables. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And we're going to get this going on medium heat. To that, we're going to add our green beans. These have already been washed and trimmed. And while that oil's heating up, we're just going to give them a quick toss. Get them nice and evenly coated with that oil. And then we're going to give that a cover. We're going to get this up to heat, and we're going to cook these for about 10 minutes. Okay, so every few minutes I was stirring the beans around. Just like that. And you'll notice, once you start noticing some browning on the beans, like that, you'll see a little bit of like scorching on it. I'll show you another one. You see that better. Like that. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the mushrooms. So I have, oh gosh, about 12 ounces of mushrooms here. This is one of those big packages. I wiped them clean and then I cut them in about thirds. You can see they're about a ½ inch thick. So I'm just going to put these right in here with the beans. So make sure you have a big enough skillet. These will shrink down quite a bit. So once I do that, I'm just going to cover them back up again. And every few minutes or so, I'm just going to stir them around. And we have our heat set to about medium-low. And we're going to give this, I'll say about 10 minutes. So what we're going to do now is just remove the cover. And you'll notice that there's liquid that's on the bottom. So what we want to do is to continue to cook this uncovered. That way all that liquid evaporates. We'll get some nice browning on the mushrooms. And all the vegetables will be the perfect texture. to turn the heat up a little bit higher for this. That way we don't overcook our beans. Alright, well that looks pretty good. So I'm actually going to remove these into a separate bowl. And if there's any juice left over, that's fine. We're actually going to reuse this same skillet. So what we're going to do is, to the same skillet, we're going to add about another tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And we're still on that medium-low heat. We're going to add half a shallot. I finely chopped it. Let's see here. And the size of this is about the size of, say, like a mini candy bar. Alright. There we go. A quick stir. We're going to kind of let these sweat out for about a minute. And we'll get our other ingredients ready. So we just want to get these nice and wilted down. And while that's happening, what I'm going to do in a corner, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And we're just going to let that toast for a minute. Okay. Alright, now to that we're going to add half a cup of white wine, a dry white wine, any will do. I like these little cans. They usually come in a 4-pack because they're perfect. That way you're not wasting a whole bottle. Because we only need just a little bit. That's good. So we're just going to let this alcohol cook off. While that's doing that, we're going to stir that tomato paste into it. You kind of want to do a nice continuous movement with this to prevent it from burning. And lower the heat a little bit once I notice that it's starting to glaze onto the pan. Then we're going to add our sage, and I just have a sprig here. There's about a dozen leaves on here. So we'll throw that in. And 2 cups of chicken stock. I think most of that went in there. There we go. So we're actually going to turn this on to medium-high. I'm going to throw in a little bit of salt. And we're going to let that cook for about 5 minutes, get that boiling nice and hot. Okay, while our sauce is cooking, our meatloaf is at 165. So there it goes. We're going to take that right out of the oven. Nice and beautifully browned on the top. See if I can show you all. So we're gonna set this aside while we're making that sauce. Let that meat rest for a few minutes. And then we'll begin plating soon. Okay. So that sage has really given everything that it's got at this point, so we're gonna remove it. And then we're gonna get this a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna take 1 tablespoon of flour and whisk that in. Okay. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Melt that all in there. And 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh Italian parsley. And then for good measure, we're going to add a little bit of salt. Perfect. So we're going to remove this off the heat. And as it cools for a few minutes, it will thicken up. And then we'll start plating. Okay, so what you could do is put your vegetables and arrange them right in the casserole that the meatloaf baked in and save yourself another dish from, for cleaning up. But we're gonna plate this one on this platter. So if you have 2 spatulas, very carefully so it doesn't break. Try to grab it just from both ends. Okay. Right in the middle there. Okay. And then we're just going to arrange our vegetables right along the side. All right, perfect. Okay, and then what I did was I just put the sauce into a little pouring pitcher, and you could put it on the table just like that. That way anybody can help themselves to the sauce and pour what they'd like over their vegetables and their meat. Give that a quick wipe, and there you go. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, everyone. Can't wait to eat this. See you next time.